What's up, guys? Today I'm going to show you guys a fairly brand new product put out there by Fringe Sport. This is the Sidewing, which essentially allows you to rig a top and bottom pulley mount to any squat rack. More or less, we're talking about the popular dimensions. That is either a 2x3 rack, a 3x3 rack, or a 2x2 rack, having either 1-inch holes or 5/8-inch holes. Now, I actually reached out to them immediately as soon as I saw them reveal this because I was in the midst of looking for other pulley related cable setups right after I just did this whole relatively simplistic, I call it hybrid build. I did a whole video on this in which the base of it was built around one of these Beyond Power Voltras. And I knew even when I made that video, and also for myself personally, what if you did not want to go ahead and invest something like this, or you just don't like technology for one reason or another, you didn't want to use something like this, but you simply just want one top and bottom pulley mount. And as I said many times in the channel, I think that covers all your bases. But the other reason I was interested in this is because on recent past videos and likely in the near future videos, I'm trying to show you guys different alternatives to all-in-one setups, whether if you just don't want that or you want something for space and just more of a minimalistic type of setup, how that works. So I'm going to showcase you and show this by example, various setups and situations, and give you guys kind of my firsthand practical account for that. So I get that this thing is pretty brand new. Based on what they told me, it's selling very well. This is almost sold out. I'm happy that they actually gave me this product here for review for you guys. Very grateful for that. And I'm surprised it's actually the first Fringe Sport product I'm actually reviewing here in their channel. Although it is not the first Fringe Sport product I've owned. One of the first barbells I ever purchased was this, very old this time, one of the first Bomba bars, I believe, when they first started coming out with them. I think this was USA made back in the time. I think the new ones are still USA made. Digress, of course, a great brand, but I try to find things that I really want to share with you guys practically, which is why I wanted to highlight this one. So if you guys do want to check this out or anything Fringe Sport, especially the holidays coming up, I will drop a link down below. It greatly helps support me in the channel. But at the very least, if you like stuff like this, please like, share, and subscribe. And drop a comment down below. I'll be happy to give you guys my personal take on it. Yes, this is pretty much brand new, but you're going to see this a lot in the video. I'm going to keep trying this out. But it was just kind of hard to really hide this, especially in this small setup that I have right here. So I will keep pinning updates and using it, but also I kind of know what you see is what you get, and the way this is kind of built, I can't really see anything really going wrong with this. This thing comes in a medium-sized box. I actually received this very quickly once they told me they sent it out. You get, of course, the basic structure that can mount to both sides of the rack. I will get into how you can flip things and articulate the pulleys here in a second. These are aluminum pulleys. They give you one pulley that's already configured to the rack, at least if you're racking it on the right side of your rack. I think I got 3 to 4 carabiners. I've kind of swapped them out a little bit as I went along. They give you one relatively long chain, give you guys some more options. You have the bottom pulley mount, and then you have the loading pin. It's not the most exciting thing to open up, but you should kind of know that going into what you're really getting here. They do have also, if you like the more visual instructions on how to set this up, they do have a video on Fringe Sport, so that was excellently done by one of the reps. I think he did a great job. For the most part, it is what they say on the website that you can kind of plug and play. Now you gotta do some rearranging a little bit. They do give you some extra bolts if you do need so for 1-inch holes or 5/8-inch holes. You gotta remove the cross member of yours. In this case, I had the pull-up bar, I had to move that back, which I'm not really honestly a huge fan of that, because I did notice that if I kind of give this a shake test, it seems like it has a little bit more lateral wobble than when I had these attached up top. What they do tell you to do is to attach it to the top mount. The only problem that I had attaching mine was that I wanted to really get 2 bolts on the top of that rep unit, and I found I had to move it down a notch in order to get the holes to orient it. That was just how I found it needed to be worked. But with that said, for the functionality, it didn't really sacrifice too much. I also forgot to mention, you do get some wire cutters, so if you have to fine tune and trim some things, you can go ahead and do that. This is in the assembly video as well, but if I want to go to this left side, this is my right, it was how it comes out in default to put it on this way. When you go to the other side, you're going to flip it upside down to get the right orientation. So there, what you have to do is just switch the pulley from here to this side, because now this will be up and this will be down, if that makes sense. And you can go ahead and unscrew the nameplate so you're not getting the Fringe logo upside down. The only thing I thought might be a concern in the game breaker, especially with this setup, because I wanted these arms to still be on the outside, whether it's these ones or something else I'm going to swap out. I also realized that I had these feet here, and if you watch the tutorial videos, this bottom pulley mount, they say, or at least they show it, it's more on the outside of this rack here, not in the bottom feet. It actually worked out perfect. I didn't do any adjustments or cutting of anything. So point was, I'll show you in a second, the low row or the bottom positioning. It actually worked out, in my opinion, it works out good or better. You will need some sort of a foot plate, in which case my foot plate also worked out fairly well. First, just talking about how this feels, just the rigging of it. Again, I didn't cut any cables at all whatsoever. And this is with it down a little bit of a notch here. I guess in retrospect, I didn't think about the first few workouts I was doing with it, but from here, I do have to dip down a little bit, but I could trim this if I so choose, or I could even get like a tighter carabiner there if I want to. One of the biggest things this has going for it versus other pulleys, of course, pulleys, I think they got really popular around like 2020-ish range, and I had one of those as well at the time, is that there's not any sway of the cable. So that was something I noticed a lot. Now, if you start like, if I really start ripping into it, I think I can get some momentum, more so if you have like a lighter weight, but you can see here, it's not really slowly starting to move a little bit, but that is me just doing some kind of rapid movements. One of the biggest things, two big things for me personally, aside from the practical setup and how it works, is that there is almost zero sway or minimal sway as you're gonna get out of a pulley rig system, but also the smoothness of how this feels. It feels very smooth. And then just showing you how you connect the bottom pulley, there's a little washer, and this just allows it, as they said, to fit the two different size holes, either 5/8 or 1-inch holes. You just kind of screw this on. I actually think while they don't show it, I think it's better to have the feet versus going here, because you get kind of a dual purpose of doing a nice straight pull, say for bicep curls. Not to mention if you are gonna use lever arms or something is here, it could be one of these new Smith machine deal type setups. This still makes some clearance, and it's a nice straight shot upwards, and that's just using, I guess, a longer foot. The only downside I found is that whenever you set up an exercise, it'll flop down. So you just, when you're kind of adjusting things, you just gotta pull it vertical to get that tension. I'll go ahead and show you then what I do is I will grab one of these foot plates. Not everyone's gonna wanna do this. I'm just showing you how I set it up. It worked out perfectly. And I actually found I had a nice amount of distance to start that pull. I'll show you how I go ahead and rig it though. The heaviness and just getting used to detaching things, especially if this is a lat pull down, you gotta always adjust that to heavy lat bar because it's gonna wanna fall down, so that's just something else. And if I wanna go ahead and just change this out, when I have it like this, I got enough flexibility there. This is what I mean, it'll get caught sometimes. You have to pull that vertical to go ahead and just attach and reattach your pulley setup. But from here, again, gotta straighten that out. But again, this thing feels very smooth. Just for the sake of video, I'll try and rip this thing, see if I can get some swinging here. A little bit there. As long as, if you just start kind of popping it like it's coming down, then you're just jolting it right back up. That's what's gonna really create the momentum. But under normal use, especially when weight is heavy for, say, a heavy pull, I didn't really notice it. And let's just say if I'm doing a bicep curl, I might get a little more centered. I'd probably detach that pulley. Nice center, straight pull. Said many times, it's one of the advantages of using like bands or say a Beyond Power of Ultra, is you have that nice center pull. I'll just, for the sake of doing it, just show you some real-time reps, see if I can get some momentum, go a little more of a faster click. And you can see it's not really going anywhere. If I did want to go ahead and transition to tricep press downs, take this off. Actually, I would do one more. And you're ready to go. So you can do, you know, some moderate supersetting there. The sacrifice I do have to make with my setup, which for me isn't that big of a deal, because if you're watching before, you know I do this a lot, is since I got those lever arms there, I can't really utilize or maximize something like this, like a leg holder, or with the bench bringing you with the legs. So I just have to kind of kneel down and doing it this way. I did have good extension. I probably could actually get some shorter carabiners and not have to worry about it too much. But I did find I could really fully lengthen my arm for most positions. Kind of had to straddle this. I thought it was fine. The only downside, of course, is that when that weight starts to get kind of heavier, and so you're not pulling yourself off the ground to get braced. This did work out, this leg holder knee pad by Getter X. I kind of used this flat part. I didn't fine tune it too much, but it wasn't like I was locked in. It just gave me enough that when it started to get heavy, my, you know, the little bit of inch that would kind of give would hit this and kept me locked in enough. Is it as perfect as a seated lat pull down station? No, but as often as I do cable lat pull downs, which is not every single workout, I could definitely make this work. This does have a little bit of a rotation here, so if you did want to say angle it out here and do some rows or pulls, that way you can go ahead and do that. I'll lean into the price here in a second because that's going to be the biggest con. I'm not trying to save that for last, but this kind of goes hand in hand with what I'm about to set up here first. I do know that some people actually prefer a pulley setup because they just like the simplicity of it, I assume. Just that you don't have to, if you want to travel or move or set up, there's very few moving parts. Some people just like kind of a cleaner look. You could argue it may or may not be too clean depending how you want to have these cables kind of set up and rigged. And of course you got to deal with weights. Some people I know like just using raw weights because it's just, there's kind of a little bit of satisfaction to it, but you're gonna get a little mini kind of back workout and just plate moving workout. You got to have some extra plates if you want a superset. All I have to say, I know there's a lot of you guys out there who do use pulleys and you swear by them. And so if this was you, this might be something that is worth it. I think to the other pulley systems that are out there, not knocking them in any way, shape, or form, they have their other advantages. What's great about this is, again, I think because it is kind of a cleaner setup, it puts you off center. The sway is pretty much more or less minimized, and this great little low pulley setup allows you for a little more flexibility without adding on kind of other, bigger, bulkier pieces and kind of chaining a bunch of stuff together. And then of course, anybody who just doesn't have the space and or is looking maybe to save some money. That leads in probably to the biggest con here. Aside from trying to find a good angle to film this video, that is gonna be the cost. This thing is sitting at $449. And for some people, that is maybe not gonna justify the novel uses of this, especially when you look at just how simple it is when you pull it out of the box. Is it really worth $400 and something? Now, here's what I'll put in some caveats and considerations. When you compare this to other cable related setups that boast attaching to a rack, giving you guys the option of doing heavy pulls, also heavy rows, there's not too many things out there, which is again one of those things I keep saying. I'm surprised when no one else has thought of this idea, which is why they can afford to put the price so high. Also compared to the competition, the biggest one being probably surplus strength, which allows you to connect some sort of a pulley related system with minimal sway, not like those cheap ones on Amazon that's gonna have sway. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with them, but you can load it really heavy and there's not gonna be that heavy swing of the weight. That one is cheaper, but the downside is you'd have to go ahead and get the low row attachment for another, I think $200 or $300-ish off the top of my head. So I think Fringe Sport did their homework looking at the competition that's out there when they designed this Sidewing. Other argument, of course, is that with that money, you could put that into, say, an all-in-one trainer if you so choose, but I keep going back to this is maybe for this person who does not want an all-in-one trainer for whatever reasons I already said previously. Or maybe you could say I could use that money to go get a single stack cable tower, whether it's freestanding or bolted against a wall, and maybe you want to use plate loaded or even something that's a weight stack. There's some pretty affordable options that are out there. Pros and cons, of course, the pros are you get more options and the adjustability of the different heights and different positions. Downside is a lot of those maybe can't handle a whole lot of weight, especially if we're talking like a 2-to-1 ratio. With a cable system, you can load this up pretty heavy for rows, seated rows, and lat pull downs, which is primarily, I think, if we're talking about top and bottom pulley related pulls, that really the back department is what most people are looking for or needing some sort of setup or some sort of heavy cable setup for that. This is one of those products that I think right away, if you're looking for some sort of cable thing that is the best fit, you might be all over this and you don't care what it costs. Some people might be on the fence, like, well, I don't know if I really want to use this versus just getting a plate loaded stack. You might be in the middle. And then some people, of course, are like, yeah, that's way too much. I have no interest in it. I don't like this kind of setup. I don't want to use a pulley. And that's obviously not going to be you. Believe it or not, I'm going to give this thing the fair shake. Even though I have a lot of stuff coming in here, the goal I'm trying to do in the next couple months is to try various setups and trying to put things into consideration where I still personally, again, I love all-in-one trainers, I think they're great, but I'm trying to figure out like what is that sweet spot of simplicity, but also kind of getting the job done with efficiency. And that's where I think this is very interesting to me, at least why I want to keep trying it out. So you'll see this thing rigged up and I'm sure you're going to see me performing a lot of exercise and keep doing stuff with it. I will pin some comments if I have any issues with it. I think I've highlighted the major ones I know I'm going to run into thus far. We'll see if they're annoying or not in the long term. But any questions, comments, feedback, let me know. Stay tuned for future videos. I have future setups I'm going to be testing compared to this. But again, thank you to Fringe Sport for allowing me to do this review. If you want to check this out, link is down below. And I think overall it's a pretty cool product for what it is, no question. Thanks for watching.